day 1518. 1500 was code red, premeditatedly ordered, ordered. It was a decision that was made to order the murder of an active duty whistleblower, Fort Bliss soldier, right there on Fort Bliss. The order, was there an op board? Was there an op board to murder our son? Whistleblowing on the absolute corruption, the trafficking, um, terrible, absolutely criminal trafficking, and the fraud. And we're going to be burning the midnight oil again. It's late. Sorry. I want to, my goal is to try to start at 10 o'clock. And here it is, 11:38, 11:39. Because of why? Because we have 44 four-star generals and, just all the way down in Richard's case that are absolutely treasonous, traitors, treasonous, criminals, and they need to be arrested. They need to be arrested. They have absolutely betrayed the American people. They've betrayed their own troops, their own service members, their own oaths. It's like, do they even care about the United States? Do they even care about anything good? It is, are they so entwined with the sex cult and the trafficking and power and money and the sex cult has so much to do with this, y'all. Don't forget, it was officers that were doing the doggy group, right? The doggy group. We got people coming into this country with, a culture that they want to eat cats. Then you have a growing culture in our military that want to act like dogs, right? Act like dogs. And it's just more and more evidence. And then what are the consequences for that? People get hurt, children get hurt, hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked in, unaccompanied children. Think about that. Just think about that. Unaccompanied children. Who helps them? Who helps them? Who advocates for them? Who loves them? I mean, not, truly love, like wants the best for them, wants good for them. These are unaccompanied children. And they were absolutely, we have it confirmed, put into, and I have pictures I brought up today, and I need to post them on the emergency intake center camp. But it's been going on for a long time. And just in these 3 years, hundreds of thousands of children, and they're mostly dead. They're used and abused and mostly dead. And these children were under the trust of Fort Bliss leadership, of military leadership, U.S. military leadership. It's so disgusting because the rest of the world knows. The rest of the world knows. They hear it. I'm not the one that's saying hundreds of thousands. It's all in the report. I'm not saying that they were used and abused. It's all reported. It's all reported. And look, and it's been sanitized. It's been sanitized, and we have confirmation that, this investigation and what's going on with this Julio Cordero, we have it from their family that there's something very wrong with the investigation. Very wrong. Here he is, an FBI agent, yes, retired. But, when you're an FBI agent and you're a seasoned FBI agent, just like if you're a seasoned soldier, seasoned airman, seasoned shipman, look, when you are trained over and over again for years and years, it becomes part of you. And being a seasoned FBI agent, it was absolutely part of him. And so, and here he was on top of all of that, a expert witness in the Walmart mass shooting case. And then this police from the El Paso Independent School District shoots him in the head. And then the family is like, we got inside knowledge. Something is really smelly and fishy here. The investigation is smelly and fishy. What's going on? And we absolutely believe the family because we've been through it ourselves. Let me make sure. And there's something else really fishy. You've got Ken Salazar in Mexico. What's going on in Mexico? Did anyone see my post on that? It's very, very interesting. Let's see, I'm live. I'll turn this down. Yeah, it's very interesting. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. Thank you for coming on so late. Um, when you look at the picture, and I need to get my system where I can share, all organized where I can share the screenshots. But if you go to Facebook and you look at the picture that I just put up of Ken Salazar in Mexico, and it says Chihuahua and the United States. Chihuahua and the United States. Oh, so this is like, what, Rhode Island and China? These are unequal powers. And this has happened before. This has happened before with the Department of State, federal agents meeting with those of Chihuahua. And Chihuahua is everyone knows it's controlled by the cartel. So you have the cartel meeting with the United States. I mean, is what's going on? Are they acting like they represent the United States? Like with authority? Did Biden tell him to do that? Did the State Department tell him to do that? I mean, what is going on? Something is not right. Something is not right. There's protocols for the way we do diplomacy, the way we meet with each other. And that's why we have different levels of government. And for Chihuahua to, like, this thing, isn't Mexico City, who represents the whole country of Mexico, aren't they annoyed? Aren't they insulted that were they consulted? Are they in agreement with this? Because we just smell something really fishy. And of course, with people have to understand that we don't want to let you down. So we have, because we know that that this is the ramifications for us walking away and letting them premeditate code red murder our son and then cover it up and bully us and harass us and threaten us and everything that they're doing, everything that they've done. And for our generals to absolutely commit treason, right? To cover up their own interests instead of doing their duty. To put politics before their duty is, and I know I'm not ignorant. I know this happens, but the level of this is treasonous, because we're talking about all kinds of criminal trafficking, the outright theft of the American people by their own people that they've entrusted to wear the uniform, the stars, entrusted with billions of dollars, and their sons and daughters, their most valuable assets, their children, the lives of Americans, the national security, and they are absolutely treasonous, because this is trafficking of weapons and equipment and ammunition, and just allowing drugs in. It's like, how can you have a secure base and have a weapons problem, and and have all the leadership and everything, right? And have all the drugs come in. You've got everything. You've got the security, you've got the budget for the security, you've got the manpower, you've got all of the chain of command, and yet you have a 14-year-old girl living in the barracks being pimped out, and you have all these drugs, and you have barracks, flush with weapons, illegal weapons, and all this stuff with the ammunition, and you have just a mess of access to CID records, the finagling between the VA and funeral homes, benefits used as negotiating favors, and you have all this oversight. They don't need another penny. They say, oh, maybe Secret Service needs some more money. No, Secret Service doesn't need any more money. They need to be held accountable for their failures and fired and arrested where necessary and charged. And if they've committed treason, that's the death penalty, and it needs to be on the table. The death penalty needs to be on the table. The lethal injection needs to be big and bold on the table for these treasonous, absolutely treasonous, that has hundreds of thousands of children, mostly dead. Think about our soldiers that are dead. Think about our service members that are dead. Think about the economy damaged because of their trafficking. Think about their lack of care of authority. That's what we believe what's going on with this Salazar thing. How can he have authority to do that? And I think that is just a slap in the face to Mexico City, to the federal government of Mexico, and to be dealing with a group that targeted us. You have to remember, the Chihuahua AG targeted us. They tampered with our missing persons document. They smeared Richard in that document. Why? Because they didn't want law enforcement to care about Richard. That's a tactic. Let's dehumanize these individuals. And then what they do is these criminals, the very criminal media, will take a criminal like Ernest Christopher Grant and turn him into a sweetheart. Oh, you're such a sweetheart. You're not a criminal at all. You're not divisive at all. You're not a liar at all. They'll take the likes of Leilani Hart. Oh, make her into a witness. And she's a total criminal, lying criminal with a family that's a mess. She's reporting on her. Just think about what's really going on, because if she is bringing out in the light, in an affidavit that she wants to turn into the FBI, you think she's telling it all? No, she has it notarized. No, she's telling the bare minimum of what's happening in her family. Because what happens in the dark is so much more than what is being reported in the light. And so here she is saying, oh, yeah, my family, long time has been engaged in incest. Long time, uh, you know, um, these child abuse episodes, right? Because we have corroborating other communications um, documents that corroborate this. And I don't want to confuse the two, but when I'm saying these things, it's because it is a multiple pieces of evidence that corroborates that this is a mess, that a 7-year-old was assaulted in her master bedroom by multiple members of her household. That there's child porn going on, child porn. Um, and Dallas Hart looking for that corn. He was looking for that corn. Um, yeah, and here he is, and we have all kinds of information coming in from um, New Mexico State University. What's going on in El Paso? How in the world, unless he has like his father, the maker or breaker, his father must have some really make or breaker relationships with the military leadership, right? It's kind of like this Ryan Ruth has this relationship with the military leadership, right? Um, Treasonous to say, my son, I want him to go green to gold. But wait, sir. No, not even sir, right? Not even sir. It's like, you going to make me or break me? The VA pay blow, the disability benefits. You going to make me? You going to break me? Well, I want my son to go green to gold. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. It's kind of like um his coach. He's wonderful. He's wonderful. Okay, he is the prime suspect in the murder of our son. He's wonderful. Um yeah, I don't know. I don't know that green to gold boy. And to put, he was so wonderful. He was so wonderful that they put him as a platoon leader in Delta Battery 143. Very, very powerful place over um, our young soldiers. They did so well under him that he's the prime suspect in the murder of Richard. Yeah. It's a mess on Fort Bliss. It is a mess. And there's a common denominator. The common denominator is, the Mormons being Mormon. The other common denominator is got to get the badge, got to get the uniform. We got to get the badge and we got to get the uniform. We got to get the position. That's how we're going to do the most good for us, the most harm for everybody else. Got to get the badge. Leilani Hart, that's what she wanted. She wanted a badge, and she even impersonated an official because she wanted the badge so much. But that was deprivation of honest service. A deprivation of honest service. That's a quote. We have to remember that. And I think that that's what's going on right now in Mexico as far as our Department of State. Foley. Where's Foley? Deprivation of honest services. Same thing with Leilani. Deprivation of honest services. Right? Same thing with Bill Hicks. Deprivation of honest services. You're a usurper. You are a usurper. People don't understand that. I've been asked, what's a usurper? Well, he's acting like he is the district attorney for the 34th Judicial District, and he's not. Because he didn't follow protocol. He didn't follow the Texas Constitution. He did not install properly. If you did not install properly, then you are not proper. You're illegitimate. You're a usurper. And he really fills the bill with usurper because of what he did with the scheming and everything to remove Yvonne Rosales, the duly elected district attorney for the 34th Judicial District. So he's a usurper. We have the proof. We've turned it in. We have reported it so many times, and yet he's still there. And John Briggs, who's still there, anyone that messes with them are messing with an illegitimate office. The 34th Judicial District Attorney's office is real, but the individuals in there are illegitimate and criminal. And, so if you wonder how convicted criminal Leilani Hart can go on being a criminal and others, then, there you have it. And if you wonder, where's Richard's remains? What happened to Richard's remains? There's lots and lots of information coming in about that, even now. And we're having to corroborate it. And that's why we come on so late and everything. But it really points to, who gets the remains. And, there's who gets the remains, who found the remains, who gets the remains after they're found, who had the remains. Because, you just don't disappear when you're murdered on Fort Bliss. And when you think about his case being intertwined with the Walmart mass shooting, with those victims, then of course Mario Raskin, the the medical examiner, the chief medical examiner for El Paso, you're thinking, okay, who's the chief medical examiner for El Paso? Who can give us some answers? And he can't give you any answers. That's another reason why they cannot have any kind of witness testimony in front of jurors in the Walmart mass shooting, because Mario Raskin Ortiz is reported by us too now, but before we even reported, it had been reported for years, since 2014. It has been reported over and over again that he's illegitimate, that he's unqualified, that he cannot sit in court, even though he was charging extra money for, maybe, to be an expert witness. He was charging other counties or whatever. And the word needs to get out that he's illegitimate. Everything that he says on a stand has no authority. No authority. And he's a judge. As a medical examiner, he's a judge because he determines, he makes the ruling on the cause and manner of death, and then he witnesses to that. He's an expert witness. And if there's questions about the cause and manner of death, he can call an inquest. He can call a jury panel. He has subpoena rights. And most of these people with robes and with gavels and with um, uniforms, and they need, first and foremost, they need to be American citizens. The level of betrayal in all of this, and there's a lot of Americans that have betrayed, is just, but they need to be absolutely vetted. They need to be American citizens, and they need to be, in the case of the magistrate court, the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, they have to be elected because their power is so big over the people. And if they're in the wrong hands, they can cover up a lot of criminal trafficking crime. They can cover up a lot of pedophilia crime. They can cover up a lot of theft. They can cover up murder. This El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court is totally criminal. It's so egregious. So not only are we facing, as Team Farm Richard Halliday, to get accountability, because of course Richard's case has broken, and the connections between Leilani Hart and Adal Bayim and people with uniforms, the police department, and of course the bidding and the weapons and the ammunition and the FBI and the 32nd ADCOM, right? The officers, the chain of command for Richard, and big business owners. Not only have we connected all of that, and to Leilani Hart, and to James Hart, and to Chris Martin, and to, many others. Jonathan Ambrose was Danae Katz, and to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, back to the magistrate court, right? Back to those illegally appointed. And by whom? By that that group of judges, the court of judges, it escapes me, but Judge Madrano, the most corrupt judge. This is not my words. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm getting reported. Oh my gosh, he's the most corrupt judge in the history of El Paso. So that means he's a traitor. And for him to have his family member right there in the district clerk's office, in the where the computer was accessed and allowed to be breached in order to take a picture of Richard's case file with, other magistrate confidential information around it and behind it. That is such a breach of security. So you got breaches of security when it comes to the district clerk's office that handles all the orders, all of the arraignments, all of the documents that are coming in from their illegal activity sitting on the benches of the magistrate court. You've got all the breaches in the CID office. You've got all the breaches in the DA's office. You've got all the breaches, because we have it confirmed too that the death certificates are also tampered with, are also botched in the medical examiner's office. So, and then you've got the botched media. And then we have to deal with the absolute treasonous, self-serving or foreign and domestic serving or enemies, foreign and domestic enemies, serving them, our leaders in the military, in Richard's chain of command, right? All those that we've had to deal with in Richard's chain of command. And are there ones that are true to their oath? Of course there are. But they are being driven away very quickly. Our military is getting a very bad reputation. And that means that the cream of the crop don't want to serve in the military. And we need the cream of the crop in our military. But because our leadership is absolutely, I can't call them impersonating because they're not. The Senate Arms Committee gave them those stars. And they did not pick the cream of the crop. They picked criminals. They picked ones that are easily corrupted, easily to sell their soul out, easily to sell Americans out, easily to serve foreign and domestic enemies. Because that's what they've done. With Sean Bernabe, with James McConville, with Michael Garrett, we've got the connections. And even with the high NCOs. Clem Coward, he's a 2-star general. I mean, I could go on and on. These are absolutely enemies of the United States. And I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that our leadership, our enemies, our serving enemies, have betrayed us, are treasonous, that they need to be arrested and face the death penalty. I don't want to say that. But it goes back to what I was saying yesterday. Mercy, when you are not following the law, is not mercy. The law is there to restrain evil by getting rid of evil. And whether I like it or not, these people have committed the worst type of crime because they knew that Richard had been murdered, that it was a premeditated. And who ordered it, I don't know, but one of them did. One of them ordered the murder of Richard. Was it Clem Coward? Was it Michael Garrett? Because let me tell you, they all have motives to protect their personal interests. They all have motives. And Sean Bernabe, of course, Eisenhower. Of course, Eisenhower. Oh my gosh. Of course, Sean Bernabe and Eisenhower. And now Taylor. Taylor, if he doesn't get his act together, and he doesn't have it together, he is absolutely siding with those that are traitors. And to meet face to face with Sean Bernabe, to deal with him face to face, I have a little bit more reason to discuss him because you can feel the body language. You can see the eyes. This was all COVID time. It's insanity. And he's absolutely a traitor. He's absolutely self-serving. And if he is a traitor and self-serving to what's going on in this sex cult thing, I mean, like, oh yeah, we got to let the sex cult thing go on. Really? Oh yeah. Hundreds of thousands of children, mostly dead. Oh, well, boys will be boys, girls will be girls, whatever. No. Absolutely traitors. Because when this trafficking thing comes out and the connections and the shipping connections and where they're shipped to and what they're shipped in and who is paying for the shipments, and then who is profiting and how they're money laundering and what they're using the money for and all the real estate business and, just the fraud and the fraud and the fraud and the criminality. And Leilani Hart was bragging about it. She has immigration problems. Um, Others in this have immigration problems. So her heart was never true to the red, white, and blue. You know, um, it was all a show. It was all an impersonation. And she's, absolutely a prime suspect in the murder of our son and has such, I mean, long criminal history. And, there is once they sanitized everything, right? They tried to keep everything cleaned off so no one would find anything, but they were so dug in with their criminality. Even the CIA couldn't clean it off good enough. Not the NSA couldn't clean it off good enough because they were so dug in, their tentacles in the system so deep that, let's just call it DNA. They've left their DNA everywhere. And it took a while, and we didn't want to disappoint. We don't forget the support that we got, the true support that we got from the very beginning. And concerned, really concerned, even going over to Juarez, I had people crying on me. I had been given a pin by a follower, someone that came up to me, a cross pen. Um, Someone came up to me during the rally and gave me a cross pen, and I and God meant it to happen this way. And I go over to Juarez, and we're rallying over there to talk to people. And one young lady came up to me, and she's telling me about her brother that's missing, and just crying. Just you could tell the same pain. We shared the same pain. And I took off my pen and I gave it to her, and I said, remember that we're praying for you, and we're together on this. Please pray for us, and we'll pray for you. And we need to get rid of this criminal network that's destroying our lives and our loved ones' lives. And I've never forgotten that. And um, I've never forgotten all the meals that were, that was really something because we were talking about that today. It was COVID, and people just did not buy into it. They knew it was a political farce, and maybe my live stream's going to be scrubbed because I just said that. But they made us meals. They made us meals, and um, that was so important because the time that saved us, it saved us so much time that we could get on the streets, we could make flyers, we could make the prayer candles, we could do so many things because people would bring us meals, and it saved us time for shopping and cooking and cleaning up and all of that stuff. So we are just so appreciative for all of that. And it has driven us, it has inspired us to keep going, and get to the bottom of this. And for us, it's about Richard, honoring Richard, absolutely getting the truth out about our beautiful son, our beautiful and heroic, absolutely heroic and moral, taking this stand, staying faithful to what he knew, what was right, staying faithful to what our family together stands for, being faithful to God, being faithful to the army and his duty and his oath, being faithful to his country, being faithful. And look, he wasn't born in the United States, he was born in Poland. And he was faithful to the United States flag, to his uniform, to his unit, to women, to what we have taught him about respecting women, respecting children, being willing to die for women and children. And I'm not lying about that. We did a whole unit on women and children first. The theme was really taken from the Titanic scene. That was a lesson that we did. Women and children first. Protecting women and children. Being a man. He was faithful to being a man. And he lives. He lives, and he is haunting the likes of Leilani Hart. He's haunting Leilani Hart. I hope he haunts her. And James. And Dallas. And Tavita Nusa. Haunts them. Because, his spirit, because of his faithfulness, is so powerful. It's loud. It's bright. I don't think angels have anything on him. That's how bright his spirit is because of his faithfulness and up against this very evil criminal network. And we're so proud of that. And we want to be faithful back to him. Let everyone know what he did, what he accomplished. To be faithful in this world that wants you to be unfaithful in everything is a huge accomplishment. And I'm going to tell you, this whole criminal network, yes, thank you, absolutely. I pray for Richard keeps them all awake at night. Yes, Richard is our hero. Yes, absolutely. And this group, they are so unfaithful. They are absolutely treasonous. And what do I mean by that? They're not faithful in their families. They're not faithful with their children. I mean, you call incest faithful? You call these sex cults where they're swapping and joining in. And look at P. Diddy. That's a good example of what we have been dealing with. You should have no, you shouldn't have. I'm glad that you didn't, that was private stuff that they were telling us is vile and vulgar stuff. Their minds are so vile and vulgar and unfaithful. They're not faithful to creation. You know, when you're this evil, the land groans because it gets polluted. The land itself gets polluted. And so this group, I'm going to tell you right now, and if I was the Mormon church or congregation, whatever they call themselves, um, they need to kick them all out and turn them all in and make sure they get arrested and make sure that they face the death penalty for what they did in this. Because the underlining common denominator from the lawyers that help them to, this whole group, they're so connected to the Mormon church, Mormon congregation, whatever you want to call it. They're so connected. And it's deep. It's very, very deep. And that the leadership of the Mormons have not gotten back to us is wowzer. Wowzer. Is the Mormon leadership backing up convicted criminal sex cult mother of the prime suspect of the murder of an whistleblower soldier, Fort Bliss hero? Are they siding with the likes of convicted criminal, sells out her whole family, so unfaithful? Is that who they're siding with? Those that assault children in your master bedroom, and you go, oh well, but my legal status here, my immigration status matters more. Yes, my children are being sexually assaulted, incest, years, but my life, my status is more important. Is that what the Mormon leadership is backing up? The criminal trafficking on the border, is that what they're backing up? The absolute theft in the military of weapons and all the ammunition and supplies and everything, and the drugging of our most valuable assets, our volunteer sons and daughters in the military? Is that are they backing up the crime network? Because they haven't responded. They haven't responded. Not even a condolence. Doesn't look like there's too much good there. And we're talking major connections. Major. And also with the uniforms and the badges and, ruling over the people and the gavels. From Rosa Maria Valdez. It is, the case has broken, y'all. We have way more than enough. What we are up is against the principalities, the evil spirits that are inhabiting, that, well, possessing our the system right now, be it generals, be it uh, law enforcement officers. And there's so much nepotism. There's so much nepotism. I mean, you've got the district clerk, family member of Judge Madrano. Judge Madrano on the Council of Judges that illegally appoint, unlawfully appoint, which is a scheme. It's a scheme in this criminal network because he is, not my words, the most corrupt judge in El Paso history. And, he didn't get that title for, being on the up and up. He is scheming to do El Paso harm. Scheming to keep what happened at the Walmart and in the mall from the El Pasoans, from the public. He has no interest in justice. And he's on the council of judges that illegally appoint to this magistrate court that requires election. So he's even denying the people of El Paso election power. Election power meaning scrutinizing who is going to rule over their families, give orders, arraign, make proclamations, or whatever those judges do on there. They can take away children. They can put you in prison. So this is something that I hope that you clip from this and share with everybody. There has been years, because, we're Ron Paul supporters, right? We were Ron Paul supporters, so years ago. And even in that time, they said there was a group of Christians, group of people that we surround ourselves with, great people. But the frustration level with the corruption is very real, right? We're so frustrated with the corruption around us. And so one of the results was to think, and I think this is wrong, that it doesn't matter. Throw your hands up. Do not vote. Just throw your hands up. Go and say a prayer. And, God will take care of it. But that's not how God works. If that's how God works, he would have taken care of it hundreds of years ago. He would never have let this stuff happen. We're in boot camp. We're in training. And that training is to establish justice, to be faithful, to be obedient. That means we can't throw up our hands. We can't say, oh, this corruption is just too much. No. With God with us, they're nothing. They need to be challenged. The whole thing. One thing we've realized is I think none of these people that we're challenging right now have ever been challenged. They've been let to do their criminal activities. I mean, we've got a bunch of lawyers in El Paso, and it's Team Fine Richard Halliday that finds out that the magistrate court is full of illegally appointed individuals ruling over people instead of elected, and they're supposed to be elected. And where are the lawyers? Is it too big for them? Right? Did they not look into it? And we have this thing, I think this hypnosis going on that we better not make waves. Well, my dad always said, if we don't make waves, we're dead in the water. Right? If we don't make waves, we're dead in the water. So he's like, it's a good lesson. We can't throw up our hands. We can't say this is too much. We can't say, oh, I'm just a little person. I'm just a little person. What am I going to do? I'm just a wife and a mother. My education is not the greatest. I'm just doing the best here, trying to be faithful and obedient. And you know what? Being faithful and obedient is the test. It's the boot camp. It's the goal. It's what God wants to teach us. Because that's what love is. Being faithful and obedient. And, powerful. We don't even realize, we have this also like this hypnosis thinking, oh, if we're faithful and obedient, that means we're they put this kind of mousy tone to meekness, right? Because being faithful and obedient is being meek. But the meek shall inherit the earth. That sounds like a pretty strong army to me. That sounds like, if I'm going to inherit the earth, that means I'm a pretty strong army. So, we're kind of trained to think this is mousy or something. We haven't absorbed the power or the knowledge how powerful it is to challenge with faithfulness and obedience the very evil criminal network that wants to rule over us. And we say, no king but God, no king but Jesus, no king but the Holy Ghost, right? Every word that proceeds from the mouth of God, the sacraments, and creation. And all of creation groans and moans for the sons of God to realize the power that they have been given to be the sons of God. And I think that is just an amazing thing to realize. And one of those sacraments is ordination. And what is ordination? The laying out of hands, the voting, the power to vote, the power to say, okay, I choose you to lead us. Be it a priest, bishop, be it a minister as far as a judge goes, be it civil leadership. The power to vote is our duty, and it's obedience to vote. Now, we might have to do some extra work because they try to manipulate and don't give us a fair election, right? They like to take away our election, like this Council of Judges likes to take away our election, like Bill Hicks, like Justin Underwood, like John Briggs. They like to take away our election. They unseated unlawfully, with coercion, with lies, with impersonating an officer, Justin Underwood impersonated a government office, meaning an ad litem, right? He was an impersonator to manipulate, and they took away Yvonne Rosales. And Yvonne Rosales, it doesn't matter if she was Democrat or a Republican, she was duly elected. She is the rightful office holder of the 34th Judicial District. And she needs to come back. She needs to come back and make this right. It would be such a great day, just such a great day, when she puts on her boots, her full armor of God, and marches into that office and has Bill Hicks arrested, and she asserts her right, her law, her legal right to that office, because he's illegal. So I hope all of you vote. I'm not telling you how to vote, but everyone vote. Maybe I should tell you how to vote. Vote for something good. You know, just do your homework and do the best. I mean, that's all we're doing. But vote. And so this is what we're working towards. A legal, honest service in the medical examiner's office, and a legal, honest service in the district attorney's office, a legal and honest service in the magistrate court. And I don't know what are we going to do with these generals, y'all? What are we going to do? I think they'll be arrested. I don't think they're immune. If we get those other three, I think that the generals will be also arrested. They need to. A lot of people need to be arrested, y'all. Don't be shocked. A lot of people need to be arrested because there are so many witnesses in this case. So many witnesses to the Walmart mass shooting case. And that's why they don't want you to be heard. They don't want the witnesses to be heard. And they want the witnesses to be afraid. That's why they spent so much time bullying and harassing and retaliating against our witnesses. Even the generals retaliated against our witnesses. So, yeah. But I think it's breaking, and I think we get the picture, and we need to get the word out. So please keep sharing. Please keep coming on, and thank you so much. God bless you. God bless our country, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye.